Where in the Herd is Tiffany, where we talk about travel, lifestyle, and mental health. Follow us on Instagram at Sweet Tippies, Twitter at Sweet Tippies, Facebook Sweet Tippies Inspirations, and Tiffany-Travels.com. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Where in the Herd is Tiffany. I am super excited because we have a guest on the show today, and her name is Christina. So, Christina, we actually met on social media, and I love meeting my social media friends. And so we always talk through Instagram. So I was like, I think we should have her on the channel to talk about her experience in Ghana. She always shares on Instagram. So I thought, let's bring her and let's get some more information about how she ended up there. So Christina, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go into your experiences in Ghana.
Yes. So, hey guys, my name is Christina. I'm a travel lifestyle blogger and writer who is currently living in Accra, Ghana. So, the first time I came to Ghana was in 2019 to study abroad for 2 months, and I moved here in August to do my master's degree. And we've been here for 7 months now, so it's been a journey.
Well, congratulations. So tell us, how does that work? What college are you currently at, and how are you doing an exchange program in Accra, Ghana?
Yeah, so I go to Webster University in Accra, Ghana. Webster is like a global school where they have campuses everywhere around the world. So they have campus in Greece, Netherlands, I believe, Austria. So really everywhere, a bunch of different places. And I chose Ghana. So because I studied abroad also while I was a student at FAMU, they were partnered. That's how I learned about the university. But it's a super small school. Like you wouldn't really know that it's here unless you are.
I was gonna say HBCU in the house. I went to Howard, so shout out for our HBCUs.
So yeah, that's how I found out. And then I was awarded before I graduated. It's called the Charles B. Rangel Fellowship. It's like an international affairs program, and so they pay for my master's, and then after I would work for the government. And so that's how I was able to come. I found that I was allowed to do school abroad as long as it was U.S. accredited or U.S. based, and they have a campus in Missouri. So that's how I was able to work that out and do my schooling in Ghana.
Oh, okay, that's super interesting. So I have heard of the Rango Fellowship, but never applied for anything. So that means you will be leaving your master's program with zero debts. Is that correct?
Correct.
That is absolutely amazing. And I say that because that's where most people accrue their debt. I didn't have debt in undergrad. I accrued debt for my master's program. So the fact that you get to go for free is absolutely excellent. And I encourage people to find programs like this, because the problem is when we get out of school, we have to work to pay these loans back. So I feel like the system is kind of backwards when they're like, oh, progress, get a job. And then they're like, oh, but you owe all this money. It's kind of weird. But anyway, so congratulations. I'm so happy that you won this scholarship. And do you feel like the process was like super intense? Do you encourage other people to apply? Any tips for applying for this particular fellowship or scholarship?
Yes, it is very competitive actually. As someone who's always applying for scholarships, like you said, like debt was just always something that scared me personally. So I'm kind of known as like the scholarship person a little bit to my friends. This was definitely the hardest thing I ever applied for. It was very intimidating, especially because I don't know anyone that's in international affairs. So definitely would be to get started on like the application process early, to work with like a tutor on your application and everything to make sure it's up to par, it's good, and the grammar is correct, and to not hold back on your application. Like if you did something, it needs to be in there because they don't know you, right? Like you're trying to sell yourself on paper. So those would be my biggest tips to apply to something like that, and just really focus on it, like work on it every single day, because it is a big opportunity. And I mean, it literally changed the course of my life. Like I would not be in Ghana right now.
Right. Literally, exactly. But that's super exciting. And so you also talked about the government work. So how long is your master's program? And what type of work will you go into? Do they already have the job ready for you, or how does that work?
Yeah, so my master's degree is like a year and a half, but I have to be in, the program requires that you do your master's for 2 years. So I'll be here even regardless. Like I'm supposed to finish my degree actually by December next December, even though I just started. But I'll be in Ghana for that whole like break period, January to May. And yeah, basically like when you're done with your master's, you pretty much have a job waiting for you as like a diplomat. And so yeah, that is lined up. It's in the
Okay.
works.
Okay. So as a diplomat, okay. So I did something similar, not as big as what you're doing, but I had an internship a senior year of undergrad. And so they paid us for the internship, and then we had our job automatically, and we had to serve 2 years. So my background is in social work, so a little bit different. But a diplomat sounds exciting. So tell us, what exactly would you be doing as a diplomat?
Well, what's your program called?
Mine's is a social work program, and so we did it with the
Okay.
Department of Children and Family Services. That was the internship that we had it with.
Okay, that's cool. So as a diplomat, even though through the fellowship, like you kind of get trained a little bit, like you don't have to have any knowledge. Like I said, I don't come from like a school that was super heavy on international affairs. But as a diplomat, you do many different things. You know, your main job is to represent your country abroad. So in this case, the U.S. You can be issuing visas, interviewing people for visas, putting on like cultural diplomacy programs, yeah, just getting like to know the community. You can do press. There's like different cones that you work in. It can be political, economic. So yeah, I'm more towards like public diplomacy and the cultural affairs. That's what I think I want to go into. But there's still so much that like I have to learn. So right now my job is to just focus on the master's program.
Right. No, that's super, super exciting. I'm getting excited talking to you. Okay, so what is your major right now while you're in Ghana, or where you're
Yeah,
at?
so I'm studying international relations.
Okay. And exactly, what does that mean? I hear that term before, but I'm like, okay. So explain what that means.
So basically, it's studying how countries relate to each other, like studying their policies, studying the background, the history, studying what type of like trading policies are in place, all that stuff, just how the international system is connected. And I feel like as a traveler as well, it's been really cool to have this background knowledge. And also because I'm studying like in Ghana, my program is Africa focused. So it's not like I'm learning about like Europe. It's really everything on the continent that I'm focusing on. So that's what I really like more than anything about my program.
Okay, yeah, that sounds super exciting. I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, oh my God, everything for me is like Black focused. When did I become this person? I didn't grow up in like an Afrocentric household or anything like that. And I feel like now everything is Black this, Black this, Black that. So I don't know where it came from, but it's here and it's here to stay and it's not going anywhere. And of course, I love the continent as well. And so I've only got a chance to go to like 4 places. But I've also written a book as well about it. So that's allowed me
Yeah.
to study a little bit more hues of Africa. And so I can't wait to actually go to a lot of the places that I studied to even, create the book. So that's exciting. Okay, so tell me let's talk about some of your classes. Like for this semester, what are some of the classes that you're taking? Do you have to take a full load, and how does that work? And also I'm interested to know about professors. So let me let you answer the first question first. Let me not get ahead of myself. What classes are you taking this semester?
This semester, I'm in comparative foreign policy and international law. Some other classes I've taken before are like African area studies, and that's where we dig deep. That was my favorite class because in the US, I don't think, and you know, like what's going on in the US and certain states trying to like basically not talk about certain things that happen in history and all of that stuff. Um, the history is just so deep here, like, you know, learning on the continent from an African professor that has like lived through the effects of some things that happened, like colonization. It was just so deep for me, like coming from the US and never even hearing about some of the things. So I know you hear all the time, we talk about like slavery was really so much worse than what we know. And it's like, it really is, because what I learned, like I never heard of growing up. So it was crazy to me. So yeah, all my classes are like comparative law, international law, comparative foreign policy, but they all tie back to like the African continent.
That's super, super cool. And so your professors, are they from Ghana? Are they from America? Is there a mixture? Where are your teachers from?
So my professors, some of them are Ghanaian, but because like my school is the global system, like even like my classmates are from everywhere around the African continent. So our professors are mixed as well. Like they can come from the different campuses. Like I had a professor from Italy right now. I have a professor that's Ghanaian. I've had one that's like from South Africa. So they come from everywhere, the Netherlands. So that's another thing I really like because you get to hear about like your professor's background and what schools they went to and the research they're doing. And it's just a lot of exposure, I feel like, to different cultures constantly being here.
That's super, super cool. And this, I know we had the pandemic going on. So are your classes virtual or in person?
So mine have been in person. I do have the option of like doing virtual if I want to, but I think I'm really enjoying, surprisingly, like as someone who is an online student or more of an online person, I've really been enjoying being in class and getting that experience.
Okay, yeah, I've done online, but I'm definitely in person because I'm like I need to see your face. I need to talk to my classmates, different things like that. So I'm definitely an in person type of student. So I'm glad that you're enjoying the in person experience. Okay, and what about your other colleagues? So your other colleagues are from all over the world as well that are in the program.
Yeah, I've had some that are from the US, not a lot, like two people that are from the US, Rwanda, we have Senegal, Ivory Coast, Togo. Like when I say everywhere on the continent, it's like you get a little bit of everybody's culture being here, Nigeria. Yeah, so it's really like the whole thing about my school that they like kind of capitalize off of is being like a global system, like a global citizen. So they really go for like international advertising and marketing.
I really, really like this. I wish that I heard about this program like 10 years ago or this college because I my background is in social work, but I've always wanted to do like travel social work. So to have that background of traveling and different things like that's super exciting to me. And I'm like, where was this when I was around? Because that global experience is something amazing. So, like you, I studied summer abroad in Ghana. And so I absolutely love that experience. I was only there for like 6 weeks, and my mom was like, "Oh, you're gonna be sad because you're gonna be ready to come home." Yeah, I was not ready to come home. I cried at the airport. So I can totally
Oh,
understand how you end up coming back there or choosing Ghana. And so it was funny because when I looked into programs, I tried to look for a grad program that had an international aspect about it. And so, although I love Howard, Rep Howard all day long, I felt like it was false advertisement. They said that there was an international program, but what happened was the only international piece that they had in the program was the fact that we go to South Africa every year, but it's only a 10-day program. It's nothing like a semester or anything like that. So that's why I say false advertisement, because I would have loved to actually intern in the country for, the semester. I think being a slow traveler or being immersed into the culture is completely different from going on vacation, quote unquote.
oh
And
yeah.
so, do you feel like, and we touched on FAMU just a little bit. How was your experience at FAMU?
Ooh. FAMU. Honestly, I did not have the best experience there.
Oh
I think
no.
when I went to college, like I didn't know anyone there and I ended up meeting a lot of people, but I just think the social environment was just not for me. I'll say that. But what I do really like about FAMU is that it was coming from a predominantly like white neighborhood. That was the first time for me that I saw Black excellence and what it meant to be Black and excellent. Like, that was the first time I met people whose parents went to college and people who would be like, oh, my dad is the dean. And I'm like, what? Like, how is your dad the dean? And just Black people in high positions, Black people with PhDs, that was the first time I was ever exposed to all of that. So I think I definitely know like why FAMU was placed on my path. And I did love going to an HBCU. I really loved that experience. So overall, I know like what my purpose was for being there.
Okay. And I do like the fact that you were able to go to an HBCU first, even though you didn't have the best of the experience. And then now you're immersed into Africa, which is kind of where it all started from, in general. So I like the fact that you went from this to that. That's super, super cool. Okay, so let's talk. Really quick before we move on, what about your coursework in terms of like papers, presentations? Like, how is that going? And I know, as a person who's visited Ghana, I know about blackouts and different things like that. So how is your actual coursework going? And do you guys have group presentations? Group presentations are always hard. I'm like reminiscing back on college right now while I'm talking to you. But yeah, let us know about that.
Yeah, so my school really focuses on like student-centered learning. Honestly, I was very nervous, like jumping into a master's program after graduating. I was just very burnt out by the time I was done with undergrad. So I was so nervous about like the workload. Everyone's always talking about how grad school is hard. But when I came, it was rough. I'm not gonna lie. My first semester, like trying to get adjusted to living in Ghana, trying to find a place to live, I was not doing the best in school as far as time management. I ended up doing well, but it was rough. And then like getting used to Wi-Fi, and like you wake up, you don't know how the Wi-Fi is gonna feel. It might work, it may not. You might be in the middle of a paper, the lights shut off, you have no electricity. And so it's just like what I've learned is definitely don't wait to do things last minute. If there's anything like that, procrastination spirit cannot be a thing in Ghana, or you just have to make sure you plan ahead. Like right now, I'm on campus to talk to you because I know my Wi-Fi is not consistent. Okay. And I don't have any issues. But yeah, the workload it can be a lot sometimes. There are group projects, but I mean, everyone is very serious about their studies here. So it hasn't been like that situation where like more person does work than the other. I've had papers, but honestly, it hasn't been like super overwhelming. I feel like I'm currently in my hardest term yet. So we'll see how this goes.
What campus are you at?
Campus. My school campus?
Yeah, what's the name of the campus that you're on in Accra?
Oh, it's just called like Webster University Ghana campus in East Lebanon.
Okay. Oh, in East Lebanon. Okay. Okay, so let's talk about adjusting to not only college life, but actually adjusting to living in Ghana. So when I moved to Howard, I have been to the city before, but it's very different from visiting to actually living there. So for example, I have visited a friend on campus, like probably the year before, but she lives in like the undergrad dorms. And so they have furniture, right? So I go to my grad dorm, literally arrive the day of after orientation, go to my room, and there is literally nothing in my room. Not a bed, not even a lamp, not a dresser. Literally, this was just a bare room. And so I'm like, where is at least the lamp or the bed? And they were like, oh yeah, it doesn't come. I'm like, wait, how did I completely miss in an email or something that there was no furniture? So I literally, and nobody came with me because it's grad school. So I didn't have my parents. Well, some parents did come with their kids. My parents didn't come. So I'm like, what do I do? It's 5, 6 o'clock at nighttime. I literally had to go down the street to the mattress place to at least have something to sleep on. And then the next day I was able to go and get like essential stuff from like Target. I say all that to say adjusting and moving. I just went to, from West Coast to East Coast because I'm in LA. You went from, I don't know what state you live in, but you went from there, to a whole nother continent. So how has that been adjusting, or how have you adjusted to living there? Because you said you were there for 2 months, but I'm pretty sure the 2 months is different from actually living there.
Yeah, I talk about that all the time. And especially, like Ghana is hot right now. Everybody wants to come to Ghana. Ghana's getting a lot of clout. December in Ghana. So like everyone comes and they're like, I can move here, I can live here. And I'm looking at them like, can you? Because you guys have no idea like what this is like. Because it's one thing to just be like, you're in the glory of Ghana, you're seeing all the beauty, and then the lights go off. You're like, oh, this is just how Ghana is. But like to really live with that, like consistently, you have to be here for a while to get used to it. I would say my first month, I was still in that vacation mode. When I came back, I had the time of my life, especially because I hadn't been to Ghana in 2 years. And I did that on purpose. Like after I left, I fell in love with Ghana, especially after like not really liking my undergrad experience and finding a place where I'm like, okay, this is for me. Like I just vibe with the people here. Everyone is nice. I love life. I didn't want to go back to Ghana and not
That's
like.
wait, Christina. Let me stop it. That's funny because when we got there for the 6 weeks, mind you, this was like long time ago, back in 2007, where it wasn't as hot as it is now, and I felt the same. I was like, "Oh my god, I'm living in the wrong country. Like, where has Ghana been all my life?" So it's great to hear that. How many ever years later that people still have that same feeling going back.
Yeah, it's common among a lot of people. And I'm like, what is it about this place that like just takes everyone in? And but yeah, my first month I was just vacationing because I didn't want to come back to Ghana and not be able to be here for like a while. And I told myself, I'm like, the next time I go to Ghana, it will be for a long time. And I'm here for a long time. So I got what I wanted. But first month vacation mode, like going out, going to see like all this stuff, eating out, meeting up with friends, catching up on lost time. And then I had to get into the apartment hunting, and that's when I really started seeing little things that I'm like, there's no way, like this doesn't make sense. Like you get to see the systems, like you're trying to buy an apartment, but you can't even speak. Like you have to have someone with you because as soon as you open your mouth, the price goes up ×5, right? And it's like, okay, I'm moving to Ghana. I'm not moving to like a California or New York where, there's systems in place. Like you need a car tag. This is where you go. This is what you do. This is how you register. It's like here is kind of like anything really does go. So if they want to give you the apartment tomorrow, they can. If they don't want to, they don't have to. If they want to tell you to pay up front 6 months, that's another thing. In Ghana, like your apartment is 6 months to like a year paid in advance. So it's rare to find a place that will accept monthly payment. Everything is cash. There's no type of credit system or like layaway system like we have in the States if you want to make payments on something. So you had to have like all this cash up front to be able to live and like, get stable. So that's another thing I took for granted. I would say in the States, like having that credit system, thank God I have a credit card, that I can bring with me to Ghana. But that layaway, like if you don't have that $5,000 for this or that, you're not getting it. It's
Right.
not no like pay today.
I'm glad you pointed that out, the difference between the nuances or kind of what we're used to. And like you said, if you're used to certain things being in place and it's not, you're like, wait, where are the rules? What's going on? How do you get a chance to decide? How do I even, it's like, you just feel like you're probably in the middle because you don't know what they're going to say. And it is very true. Mm-hmm. I've never had to even look for an apartment, but when we go out, I'm like, let me be quiet and I'll let whoever else talks because I know even if we're just shopping in the market, it's definitely going to be more expensive. And I think, honestly, whether we speak or not, they know that we're not from there. They know that we're American. They know that we're not Ghanaian. And so this one guy was like, yeah. I was like, well, how do you know we're not from here? He was like, the smell. And I was like, what smell? What are you talking about? I don't really know what he meant by that, but I say that to also say that they know that we're not from there, whether we talk or not. So I'm just like, let me be quiet. You talk for me and we'll figure this out later. So that's interesting too. And so when we talk about cash, not to be all in your business, but how does financial aid work in terms of like you being able to get your own apartment? Could you have stayed on campus or you just chose to get your own apartment off campus?
Yeah, so whenever I studied abroad in 2019, I was here at the same university. So I got a taste of like what that dorm life was like. It wasn't for me. I went through whole like dorm issues or mate issues in undergrad as well. So I just knew like there's no way I'm going through that by myself or doing that whole thing again. I just like my space. And I knew also like I would need my own space because I wanted to have people over. Like if I wanted to do something at my house, I just wanted to be able to have that freedom. So I decided I'm going to get an apartment. It's actually cheaper than staying on campus if you look at the amount, but on campus you have that stable Wi-Fi, that generator, all of those luxuries that you're giving up. So yeah, I decided to look for an apartment, and the process for that, so that's a whole long process. I don't even know if we want to get into that. Like you have to look for an agent, and then you have to pay the agent 10% of your rent. Like it's just, and I don't want to call it a scam, but it doesn't make sense when you really sit down and look at, like, why am I paying you to look at a place that I'm renting, not even buying? Like, it doesn't make sense. So
almost like a realtor for an apartment.
Right. That's how it is. That's the system here. And I'm like, okay.
Only the first time though, right?
Oh no, for every single place that you want to go look at with that agent, you're paying a fee.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so it adds up. And then if you don't have a car, you're like hopping in and out of Uber. So I had to develop a whole strategy. And thankfully, I found a place like within a week. And yeah, with money, I came prepared because I already knew what it was, like the 6 months in advance most. And I told myself that I would only do the 6 months. So yeah, I had money prepared for that.
So do you do with your university or with your scholarship? I know that your master's is free, but does that include housing and stuff like that, or just your fees for school?
Yeah, so they have, I believe, $24,000 a year for the actual like master's program, the tuition and fees, and then you get stipend as well. I believe it's $18,000 a year stipend that you get.
Okay.
So if you want to use that for housing, food, gas, whatever, it's up to you how you want to use it. So that's what I use to pay my rent and stuff like that.
Okay, that's cool. That includes all those different things because obviously college is super expensive, and yes, it's nice to get your tuition paid, but you do have to live. Like I feel like that's why I had to take out loans too while I was in college. Obviously, to pay for school, but I also had to live on the dorms as well. Now living on the dorms was definitely an experience, but overall, I'm actually glad I did the dorms because in undergrad I did not do dorms. And so I used to think like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like the dorms because like I don't want to after school I want to go home. Like I don't want to see this campus. But it ended up working out because I was super involved on campus. Like I was a student council president. I was involved in this and involved in that. And so it made sense because, okay, after a meeting, I can go home. And I'm a late person. Yeah, I'm a late person. So me hopping up, being able to just walk across campus is great. So there's definitely perks to it. But I'm glad you at least tried it. And it's funny because when we did the summer study abroad, apparently the group before us stayed on campus, but I guess there was issues, and I don't think issues in a bad way, but issues I guess with like relationships. And so I guess the professor the next time when we came here, I was like, oh, y'all not staying on campus at all. So I wish we would have gotten a chance to stay there for at least a week or something, because it was only a 4-week program. I understand extra 2 weeks. So I wish we could have gotten like the vibe of it. So we went on campus, but there's nothing like actually staying there and being there. And so on your campus, are you involved on campus? Do they have like, activities that you can get into, and how does that work?
Yeah, so there are like a lot of different trips that are planned by the campus. There's definitely activities here. There's like a student life facility. I'm currently the graduate senator for Student Government Association. That's something I decided to take on because my school is mostly catered towards like undergrad. So I decided to do that, but I'm not like heavily involved because I'm always like exploring Ghana and I have so many other things that I do. So I'm more focused on seeing as much of Ghana as I can to be able to write about it and share my experiences. But yeah, overall, I think even though it's a small campus, definitely student life is a thing here.
Yes, I can't wait to come back. So I want to tour the campus, Christina, when I come. Okay, so I think we covered a lot of school stuff. Yes, so let's move on. So I think we covered a lot of school stuff. Okay, so tell me about life in Ghana in general, or tell me what you do because you talked about travel writing. Well, let's get into that first. What else do you do besides school? Let's go there first.
Yeah, so I have my blog, being Christina Jane, where I'm starting to pivot more into travel and writing about my experiences, whether it's going to a restaurant, going to a place, the different regions, how to take a trail. I recently started travel writing, got into that industry a little bit with like writing for publications. I've written for Lonely Planet and Photorist so far. So that's been exciting. I'm a virtual assistant. That's how I make my money too. In addition to the stipend, that's where I'm really able to travel or how I'm able to get around Ghana. I do freelance writing. I can be on like random topics for different clients. So yeah, those are like the main roles.
So if somebody wanted to get in travel, so you got into like Lonely Planet is a big publication. So tell somebody if they wanted to get into travel writing, like what would they need to do? Like, or do you pitch people, or are people coming to you? Like how are you getting your clients as a freelance writer?
Yeah, so with the publications, you do have to pitch. You'll see editor information all over Twitter, and then they'll do a call for pitches. Oh, I want something on solo travel. And then you pitch them your best idea. And if they go for it, then you go for it. Sometimes you may not even get an answer. It's the field of journalism, as I've learned, is a very fast paced thing, very, very fast. So you just have to jump on it, be ahead of the game. With freelance writing, my clients come to me. I have a virtual assistant page on Instagram, so they usually see that. And as I talk about my writing and people see it, they just ask me to write for like their blog or something, or it can be something random or like an article. I just did one for Haitians Who Blog today that I turned in. So yeah, just really putting yourself out there. I think with anything you do, I'm learning like you can't be scared like to tell people what you want to do. It's not everyone that you want to tell sometimes, but you have to have a level of comfortability with like sharing about yourself.
So are they so are some of the pieces you write, are they paid, or are they are you doing it for free? Are you doing both?
Yeah, so because I was really new to travel writing, I told myself I would write for free for 6 months. We're in April, so it's month 4, and I started getting a paid opportunity in February. So thankfully, like I've kickstarted. I haven't written a lot for free, but I did offer to write for free for 2 um, travel. One is like a company, a brand. We'll call them brands for 2 brands. But now most of my opportunities are paid though. Besides those ones that I started doing for free, and I've kind of scaled back a little bit to make room for those more paid ones.
Yeah, and when you talk about promoting your business, like if people don't know about it, they can't get that service. So I think I do travel itineraries, and I haven't promoted that in a very long time. But apparently somebody was watching the page, and last month they're like, "Oh, I need a travel guide." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's X amount of money." They're like, "Okay," and so they actually got it and they loved it. But again, if it's not advertised anywhere, and I don't know if it's advertised on Instagram because that's where she found me at.
Yeah, I've never seen you do that. So see,
right, exactly, because I don't really talk about it. I think people started coming to me probably last year, maybe the year before, and so that's my problem is consistency when it comes to promotion. Like I'm like, oh, okay, if you know about it, you do. If you don't, so I need to get better. And Instagram, I'm horrible with Instagram for its marketing. On Facebook, if you're my Facebook friend, you know what I'm doing. But Instagram is
I have you on Facebook. I noticed that too. You got great people on there, and I'm the opposite.
You're more of an Instagram. Yeah, I feel like it kind of works well. And it's funny because I have a love-hate relationship with Instagram. But it's funny because I've been getting more paid opportunities this year alone on Instagram. So that's interesting because with reels and oh my god, I'm like, oh my god, I don't want to do a reel. I just want to post a picture. Go back to the beginning stages of Instagram. This is not video. This is not what I signed up for. But no, that's cool that you're able to like freelance and get these different opportunities. And what does the virtual assistant consist of? What exactly would you be doing with that?
Yeah, so the cool thing is you can really do anything that you want, whatever service, but it's basically the most basic is like email management, calendar appointments, setting appointments for your clients, like talking to their clients for them. Social media management is a part of that, like scheduling posts for people, writing their captions. Right now, because of my Wi-Fi in Ghana, I've had to get a little bit strategic. And even when coming here, I had to stop some clients just because I knew the work I was doing for them with my Wi-Fi was not going to be good. Right. So right now I'm focused on the blog writing is what I'm really pushing right now, and the caption writing. So that doesn't require me to be too present like on social media.
Okay, yeah. I think I'm like 5 years into the blog. So blogging definitely, starting off your blog, you definitely, for those who want to get into blogging, you definitely need to start on your own site first. Get those articles out. So some people that I talk to, I don't think they understand. They're like, but you write for free. And I'm like, yeah, how else are people going to know what you do? How are you going to send samples if you've never written anything before? You know what I'm saying? So when you talk about free opportunities, yes, in the beginning it will be free, but like you said, along the way, you'll be able to get paid as well. So that's super exciting. I've read your articles, which is great because I feel like now you have the option of the link now, so I can click on it. Before you have to have a certain amount of subscribers. And so I'm I'm a YouTuber and a blogger. Honestly, I'd rather read a blog than YouTube. So if somebody writes something, I'm like, okay, I can click it, I can read it really quickly, and then go on about my business. So that's exciting.
And honestly, it was really crazy that they didn't have that before for only 10K. I never understood that in the first place because we all have businesses, even if we don't have the numbers. So
exactly. And well, I guess we would be considered, micro influencers, but I feel like micro influencers have a lot of influence. So Let's get on Instagram. I'm glad they're finally catching up to the rest of the world. Okay, so let's talk a little bit. Okay, was there anything else that you do?
That is what I can think of on the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did have a question about family and stuff and moving abroad. Like, how does your family feel and how do you feel being like so far away from them?
My family, I feel like the first time when I was coming to Ghana in 2019, everyone was just kind of like, why there? Like, why? Like, all the stereotypes and stuff. Like, what? Why are you going there? Why not go to Paris or something? But now this time around, now that I've been there and they saw that like I was fine and I liked it, it was not really a surprise to anyone. I think they're just like, I think my family's used to me by now. Like if I say I'm going to China in 2 weeks, I'm going to China in 2 weeks. So they all know to be prepared to see me in China or wherever else I'm going by now. So as far as like homesickness and stuff, that is a common question. I just don't get homesick, honestly. Like even in undergrad, I just never got homesick. I don't know. I do a lot of FaceTime calls and messaging, but home for me, like where I'm from, my hometown is not somewhere where I really care to be. So it's like, yeah.
And you're originally from where?
Cape Coral, Florida, Fort Myers.
Oh, okay, you're originally from Florida. Okay, that makes sense. FAMU, Florida. Okay, I was like, I don't know if you have moved there. Or you just
No, I just moved up north, so I'm from South Florida, and then FAMU's like 6 hours away from me up north.
Okay, so you were super close. Yeah. I did I ever get homesick? The only time I would get homesick, I guess, when I moved to Howard was kind of maybe if I were seeing people get together, like, oh, there's a birthday party, or oh, people are getting together. But besides that, I think I really enjoyed my Howard experience, and I also met so many great people, and I feel like we became family. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I had somebody. Mm-hmm. I'm in a sorority, so she was an older soror, so she would invite me for Sunday dinners, or we would be in each other's rooms. Okay, who's cooking this week? Or, so I think it's very important to make those connections early on, because sometimes if you don't make those connections, you will feel like, okay, I'm homesick, right? So
and now that you say that, when I think Thanksgiving did hit a little bit this past week, like when you're FaceTime, everyone's just cooking, like getting together. It's like, okay, I think that was the one holiday that got me.
Yeah, it's funny because I've left for Thanksgiving and one time for Christmas. And so mom was like, oh yeah, we're eating this, we're eating that. And I was like on the bus. Maybe I was going from Accra to oh my God, Ashanti region. Why am I drawing a blank? We were taking the bus from there, and I had like a tuna sandwich for the day. And I was like, oh my God, I wish I was at home compared to obviously. Huh? Kumasi, yes. I'm like, of course I'm drawing a blank as I'm talking to you. So and or if it was Christmas, like Christmas is one of my favorite holidays. So I went there for Christmas one year. So I've been to Ghana about 6 times. And so I was like, oh, I wish I was at home. So when those holidays, then it's like, oh, okay, I kind of miss it. Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about another topic that's always fun. Let's talk about dating in Ghana. So I feel like my theory is that everybody that goes to Ghana, if you don't have somebody, you can definitely find somebody by the end of your trip. And I say that because I noticed that the men are a lot more friendlier than the women. You tell me what your experience has been like. You're on campus, so it may be a little bit different where you can form those relationships with women. But even as me going back so many times, I can count on one hand, like the friends when I go back are girls. Like the men are usually my friends. So what is your experience with let's say, what is your experience with the women in Ghana versus men? And then we can go into a little bit more about the dating.
Yes. Honestly, that has been like a reoccurring theme. That's something that I've been working on currently, actually, because I noticed that too. And I was like, is this normal? Because I never hear anyone talk about that aspect. And at first I was hesitant to talk about it because I didn't want to do the whole Black women against each other thing. I just didn't want to do that. And that's how it was going to come off. But the women are very hard here, like very guarded, hard to talk to, just like looking at you like, No, like I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm not trying to talk to you. So yeah, you do end up being friends with more men, and of course it's because they're trying to talk to you and get in there. But when you do talk to a man, they are more open to just like, hey, how are you? Where are you from? Where are you living? Like, okay, if you want to hang out, here's my number. Like, it's not this awkward thing. Whereas like with women, you really have to pry in there, and like that's what I'm learning because I came a little bit guarded too because of like past relationships and friendships. So, but I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna make friends with women here if I'm guarded too, because there's no one that's more guarded than me here. Like the women here are times 10. So, yeah, that's the new thing I'm working on. I just find that honestly, it's for a lot of different reasons from what I understand. Like someone told me that sometimes the women think that foreigners that come are like looking down on them. So they're like really guarded. And then like once you start talking to them, they open up, which I have experienced that as well. So it's like a weird dynamic. I mean, I feel bad that that's the case. I don't think that should be the case at all because it's not in most cases. But yeah, that's what
I'm
I'm seeing
also
too.
I'm also wondering about the language as well because in talking to them, I had an incident where I feel like their English was great. I can understand them very well. You know what I'm saying? And I think by me traveling, I actually understand more people. So, like, let's say if I have a friend that's from getting, like, maybe somebody else may not understand sometimes if their accent's thing, and I can be able to translate, like, oh, they said this, right? So that's a common thing that I heard kind of like they think that their English is not as well. So then it intimidates them to even start talking. And I'm like, but no, you're fine. But in their
Yeah,
mind, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, English
I
is widely
agree.
spoken. But of course, they have their dialect as well. So that was one of the reasons why I heard as well.
Like
So
in
yeah, and I guess
2019.
go ahead.
Yeah. I was going to say, like, when I was studying abroad in 2019, I remember I had a professor who I was like this, like on the edge of my seat, trying to listen to every single word she said because I was not getting it. And this time coming back around, like, I had an American classmate who was always like, what? And I'm like, he said this. Like, so your ear does become more like fine tuned to accents.
Exactly. And I'm a sucker for accents. Like, if you talk to me for a minute, you're a guy, I'm like, oh my God, I just love you. Not really, but I just love accents. Okay, so let's talk about dating. Let's talk about dating. How is dating been in Ghana? Like when I went the first time, like there was an abundance of men around. And it was a great feeling because I didn't feel like that coming from America as a plus size woman. It's like, okay, being plus size is looked down upon, like you need to lose weight, blah blah blah. But going to Ghana for the first time, it was like I was appreciated, and that is something that everybody should feel. You should feel appreciated. You should be able to be. And I didn't feel like, of course people can't. I didn't feel like it was in a bad way. Like, I guess it could be overkill or too much. But I just felt like it felt good to be appreciated by a man, whatever size you're from, or whatever size you are. So how has your dating experience been thus far?
Wow. Where do I start? Okay. I will say, coming from the US, where Black women are so undervalued and underappreciated and just constantly disrespected, especially in the dating pool, when you come to Ghana, it is really a new world where you're like, oh, wow, like I can take off this wig and you're still going to think I'm pretty. It's like I've gone outside so many times just looking what is considered a hot mess to me, but it's probably seen as like just natural beauty to them. And they just appreciate you in like your rawest form, like whatever that looks like for you. And that is a great feeling because I just feel like I'm somewhere where like my blackness is accepted in like so many ways, like my natural hair, just like being me, because that's what they've seen. That's really all they know too. Um, of course, not to say women don't wear like wigs and weave here, but it's just different. They just appreciate it. It's a black nation. The men I find are very open, like I said, very just like it's not this toxic masculinity. That's something that stands out to me here. Whereas like back home, like men just it's like a hey yo ma, how you doing type of approach. And that no. It's like men here are gentlemen and they're just, like gentle, honestly, very gentle. Pride isn't big here. Like even if someone tries to talk to you and you reject them, it's not this big awkward thing like where men are killing women in the US because of
Right.
rejection. That is so crazy to me.
That part,
Here,
exactly.
you can reject someone and literally still be friends with them right after. Like, oh, okay, well, I hope I see you around, or let me get your number just to see. Like, that's happened to me so many times. Like, it doesn't have to be this awkward thing. Um, but at the same time, I do think like currently I'm at a point where it does get overwhelming. Like you're constantly getting advances, you're constantly having to say no. Like I've definitely had to take a little break where like when I first came, it was amazing and exciting. And it's like, okay, I'm appreciated and I feel seen. But now I'm like, stop talking to me. Like, because you can't walk down the street without someone.
And like you said, vacation and living, you're actually living there now. So of course, if I'm there for a couple weeks or whatever, it's exciting. But like you said, if it, if you're, it probably at sometimes you're like, okay, I don't want to talk to nobody, like leave me alone. Or if you even have somebody to constant has to be like, no, all that kind of stuff. So I can definitely see, from the beginning to where you are now. So you're not currently dating anymore. You're just taking a break.
I mean, I would say like I'm telling you, like, even if you say you're not dating, there's always something, like, it's always in advance. So I can't say I'm not dating. I'm just here. Like, I'm not trying to look. I'm not actively looking. Whereas before, I wasn't looking necessarily, but I was more open to, like, going on dates and, like, okay, ha, 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 like, doing the whole flirty thing. Whereas now, if it comes to me, which it always comes, it will always come. If you come to Ghana, then just, like, vibe with it is where I'm at.
Exactly. I was telling somebody, I was like, oh, because I did a group trip to Ghana. So I was like, oh, we should put on another one. And so I was like, oh, the guys in Ghana. I was like, yeah, if you want to have somebody by the end of the trip or once leaves on, trust and believe there will be no issues there. You can definitely find somebody before you leave. Whether or not you continue after this vacation is up to you. Like two separate things, but definitely can happen. So yeah, even and again, you don't have to be looking in Ghana. Like I said, they'll just come to you. And so I always enjoy seeing your dating stories on there. I love seeing everything that you post about Ghana too, because it's just like nostalgic. Like, oh, I know the trotro. Oh, I know this food. I know that. So I look forward to your reviews. While I'm always probably replying to your stuff. Okay, so past dating, just how is like the food and different things like that? Because a lot of people be like, the food is my favorite is jollof rice, but they have American restaurants there as well. So tell us about some of your favorite foods or different things like that, or the restaurants, because I see you post your reviews as well. And I'm glad to see a lot of the stuff that is popping up because that stuff wasn't there when I started going there. So tell us about the food and stuff.
Yeah, my favorite food is probably groundnut soup with omotuo, which is like the rice balls. I love me some groundnut soup with salmon. Oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna get some tonight. Like that is just my favorite food. I think, like you said, jollof rice. Besides jollof rice, I love me some jollof rice too. Yeah, those are my two favorite foods. I'm trying to think what else. I'm not a big foodie, to be honest. So when people ask me about food, I'm just like, oh, I can tell you something, but I'm not like crazy about food to the point where it's like I can go in detail. But I've definitely had like the popular meals like wache, red, all that stuff. There's so many different types of soups in Ghana. I think the street food is honestly the best food that you will find here. Like I just tell people, when you see a little roadside restaurant, just stop and just go there. Because the restaurants here are not doing too well, in my opinion. I just think that, I don't know, like in 2019, I don't remember ever having the complaint about like food not being that great, but it's like now, I don't know if it's just people don't care anymore because, Ghana has hype now. So like you said, more places are popping up, but the service is going down, more down than it's ever been. And the food is not tasting that great. So for me to sit down at a restaurant these days, I just hesitate a lot. And I would rather just go to the streets.
And get the food. And so have you learned to cook the food there?
So I have made jollof rice before and it was pretty good. Long recipe, my gosh, but it was pretty good. I have groundnut paste in my counter to make groundnut soup because someone actually taught me when I went up north. I had a cooking class with them and they taught me how to make fufu and the groundnut soup. So I wanted to try to duplicate that recipe. And then rice balls is something else that I really want to try as well.
I think you posted the rice balls before. I don't think I've ever had the rice balls before, so I have to make sure that I try that the next time we're there. And what about you like visiting outside? Because you're in Accra, so do you get a chance to visit Kumasi or the northern region or different things like that? Tell us about are you traveling outside? When you have time.
Oh yeah, definitely. Whenever I can, whenever the funds are looking good, I leave Accra. I'm actually always trying to leave Accra, even if it's just like Adenta or like the outside of Maine. I've been to the northern region, Tamale, a few times now. I think 2 times, 2 or 3 times, and I love that region because it's a completely different vibe than Accra. It's like tuk-tuks everywhere, motorcycles. It's way calm. It's a predominantly Muslim city. So I love it there. The Volta region is one of my favorite regions to get away to. It's like so much greenery and like the beaches are nice. It's just chill vibes. I think everywhere outside of Accra is chill vibes. And then I'm also, even though I've been to Cape Coast and Kumasi, now that I'm like really into the writing, I'm trying to go back and visit all these places again to really like refresh my mind and be able to write about it. So yeah, definitely there's 16 regions in Ghana, and I count myself saying that I wanted to visit almost every region, but there's
Yeah,
just so much to do.
I definitely say again. I've been there 6 times, and I still haven't been everywhere. But Cape Coast is definitely my favorite. We actually went the last time we went to the what is it, the Stilt Village or the Water Village, which is like 7-8 hours
Okay, yeah.
away, and that was super super interesting. So I definitely say as much as you can while you're there, because sometimes when I went to Howard, I didn't explore because I was living there. When you're living somewhere, sometimes you don't. So I'm glad that you were able to, like, you're going to school there, but you're able to take it all in, because once you leave there, when is the next time you're going to come back? Unless you decide to stay. But the point is, like, why not do everything while you can right now? So that is like super, super exciting, that you're able to travel and getting immersed into the culture. Oh, have you learned have you learned Tree? Are you working on that or
Um,
not really?
I was taking lessons in 2019. I was so like enthusiastic about it because I love Ghana. I had my little moment after my 2 months. I picked some things up, but I started learning French. So like
Okay.
Tree is not at the forefront right now, but Kakra, small. I know like a few phrases.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, you would think I would know more by now, and I don't know anything. And the problem is because they speak English, and so I'm able
Yeah.
to get by with that versus ever having to learn the language. So yeah,
But
I
there's
guess
also so many other languages in Ghana, so it's
right.
like also that's a thing. Like trees common, but there's like God, there's Krobo, there's Ewe. So it just makes sense that most people speak English like to everyone because you may speak tree to someone and they're answering you back in God, like they don't know tree.
Right,
So it's been
exactly.
interesting, yeah.
So I don't know. I may be back. I don't know. We'll see if we'll put on a group trip. But if we put on a group trip, I would absolutely love to meet you in person. So this interview was great. This was great, great, great. I'm excited that I have you on, and I'm pretty sure other people will be excited to learn about Ghana from a different perspective. You're a student. I will also put you in the category of an expat. Even though you're going there for school, and then your travel writing and different things like that. So I feel like you are living your best life right now. I feel like this is the time to, date, go to school, learn, live. Like, this is super exciting to be just in another atmosphere. I've always wanted to do the Peace Corps, never done that yet, but this reminds me of, just kind of being in another place as well. It's not too late, but I wanted to do it right after grad school. Speaking of grad school. So yeah, this is exciting. So Christina, this was great. Do you have any last final words, recommendations, or anything to our viewers that are watching?
Sure. I'll leave the viewers with this. Whenever I was coming to Ghana, there were a lot of people that kind of discouraged me and told me like not to come for, especially for grad school. That like the education. I know you mentioned your sister asked like the quality, which by the way, this is probably the best experience I've ever had with school in my life.
Okay.
I think in the U.S., school is very like here you go, take a test, let's move on. Where like here they really make sure you know what you're learning and like I'm actually absorbing everything. I feel cared about. So this was an amazing decision on my part. I really did not want to study in the U.S. and I know DC is like a hot spot for like international affairs too. But I really made the decision for me, having came to Ghana and knowing like the type of environment I wanted to be in. So just follow your heart and like don't be afraid to go somewhere new for a new experience or try new things, despite like what people might tell you, because what's on the other side may be so much greater. I promise.
Exactly. No, that's absolutely good to leave with, because there are a lot of, and speaking of our parents, I think our parents, although they love us, they will be one of the first ones when it comes to traveling. They're like, oh, you got to go somewhere again. I'm like, yeah, y'all already know me. When it's time to go, it's time to go. Y'all should be used to it already. So I'm glad that you said that. We honestly, at the end of the day, we are individuals and we have to go where our heart leads us. And where our heart leads us is probably leading us in a good direction, especially if you're went for education. So it's not like I ain't gonna say if you move for a guy, but you get what I'm saying. The point is we're going, and so again, we have to follow our heart in those instances. So I think that's a great way to end the conversation. So thank you so much, Christina. I really appreciate it. And we're definitely going to make sure that we have all of your information so that people can contact you for your services or just follow your journey in Ghana. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you joining in on the conversation today.
Yeah, thank you for having me.